record.
250 action. Jeremy McGrath currently in second place. Behind, you see number 2, Jeff Emig. It's been a good battle here at the beginning of Moto number 1 between these two. Jeremy not too anxious, though, to make his move yet, David.
Well, he'll get anxious as soon as Albertine starts knocking on his door. Once Albertine molested him a little bit, he'll be a lot more anxious to get around Emig and let those guys duke it out. I think that's his plan right now.
Of course, Albertine, a big shot in the arm in the last race at Mount Morris. His first win in 2 years in the opening moto. Of course, it's old hat to number 1, who has 7 moto wins on this young season. Jeremy McGrath making his move. Oh, what a gutsy move on Emig. Emig tried to come back. Jeremy shut him off.
Jeremy was so brilliant. He went into that corner, went around the outside, just gassed it. Here it is again, right there. He just grabs a handful, knows that's going to put him on the inside going to this corner. Completely catches Emig by surprise, and Emig tries to retaliate.
Tried to come up over the track.
If he'd have kept it wide open, that could have got ugly right there, but I think he played it smart and just tried to keep it on 2 wheels and then off camber and hold off Albertine.
Albertine in good position as he closes up on third. Will Emig now let Jeremy off the hook and be content with second? I doubt it. Let's go to Marty.
Well, he held on to the lead for the first third of the race. What about the second third? Can he get it back?
Yeah, he can get it back. He made a mistake in the back. I guess he went off the track and McGrath got ahead of him, so he's still working hard. He's still out there going pace. It's not like he dropped off the pace.
Is Albertine going to play a factor in this before it's all over?
Oh, yeah, it looks like it. He's coming on strong, but it takes a while to get by somebody, so hopefully he'll pick it up before he gets there.
Right now, it looks like Albie wants a piece of Emig. Riding very aggressively in third place. Albertine recognizing this year that he doesn't quite have the endurance. Hired a trainer. He said, hey, I was so successful in Europe with a trainer. 3 world championships. I'm going back to it. Jeremy McGrath is our leader. Number 1, looking as flawless as ever with Emig there and Albertine in third.
Well, any one of these guys can win this moto right now. It's up for grabs. And, you know, when you think of a trainer, I mean, think of any other sport. They all have coaches and trainers. And the motocross guys, it's pretty much been an individual deal, and now they're starting to realize, I think Jeremy set the tone with hiring Gary Simmons and getting in good enough shape. That really made the difference in him winning a title outdoors. The other guys are starting to do the same thing.
Boy, has he stepped up his training in the last couple of months even, David.
And he's going to have to, because he knows this is the time of the season when it's going to get really hot, and physical fitness is going to play a major role. He's got the confidence to go the whole distance. And it's time now for our Suzuki flashback. 1995 right here at Budds Creek, running a different direction this year. They're running it the opposite direction, and in the first moto, Larocco making his return to the action after a broken arm, got the whole shot and was out front, leaving these guys to battle. Jeff Emig, number 6, and McGrath with an inside line into the corner. Watch Emig tries to square it, can't quite get around. And Mike Kudrowski starting off the season pretty good with a win at Hangtown, but then his problems began here, having to change the front wheel. This was Mike's last year on a great career, winning a title in each of the classes, 125, 250, and 500. And watch what happens here. Henry coming up a little short on that double jump, battling with Jeremy, grabs a handful of throttle. I think everyone remembers this. Flies all the way to the bottom of that hill, clears the speaker wires up in the trees, but he breaks his back, and that was it for Henry for the season. And for Mike Larocco's return, not a bad one, a first moto victory. Second moto, Emig with the hole shot. Jeremy right there, watch his inside line. Emig just goes a little bit wide, leaves the door wide open. Jeremy rides right through it. But Emig didn't let Jeremy get away, kept the pressure on. Now on an uphill, he takes the outside line, catches Jeremy sleeping a little on that inside slick stuff, makes the pass for the lead. But it's still not over. In the same place Jeremy passed Emig the first time, he gets him back again on the outside. He would stay there in the lead, picking up the second moto win and the overall. Jeremy extended his points lead to 13 en route to his first ever outdoor championship.
McGrath, our leader, with Emig in second, Albertine in third, and here is the battle for fourth. Doug Henry, Kyle Lewis, and Mike Larocco is making a move up the pack.
Mike Larocco reaching for the clutch as they went off that jump in the air. No one needs to have that. These guys ride with their finger on the clutch. Almost all these guys have it on there the entire moto. Even riding through the pits, they'll be using the clutch. And the one guy that doesn't is Jeff Emig. He'll use the clutch, but he doesn't use it till he needs it. A little different strategy there.
Henry, Lewis, Larocco in the tightest battle right now as our cameras are focused in. You can see the great crowd on hand. It is another record crowd. McGrath and Emig out in front We'll be back with more 250 action from Moto 1 right after these words. Wasting no time passing Emig early in the race, and this is the battle now for fourth. Doug Henry, Kyle Lewis, and Mike LaRocco. LaRocco, another slow start. That's nothing unusual for him, but he's really starting to make a race within a race here.
Well, he's putting the pressure on Lewis, who is in turn putting the pressure on Henry. And for Lewis, that's a tough place to be. I say it all the time, but it is. If he tries to take a different line around Henry, then he leaves the door wide open for LaRocco. So the strategy for him would be to just eat up that roost the way he's been, try to get around Henry, and then let Henry and LaRocco fight it out amongst themselves.
The best overall finish for Lewis this year was a fourth at Glen Helen, where Henry backed that up with a fifth, and then Henry another fifth at Mount Morris. Here comes LaRocco. His assault on Kyle Lewis as he tries the inside, could not quite get the power to get by number 11 Kyle Lewis. There he does, coming out of the turn and down the hill. So LaRocco now sets his sights on Doug Henry.
LaRocco was forced to get real creative right there as he came into that left-hander, that first off camber where he set all that up. He had to go out over that berm. That's about the slowest line he could ever take through that corner, but he lucked out, and Lewis bobbled a little bit coming out of the corner, and then he was able to square off the next one, and really a little bit lucky there, and the gamble paid off.
Mike LaRocco with still one more year remaining on his Suzuki contract. He's coming off that encouraging second overall at Mount Morris. He's up to speed.
He's definitely up to speed, and he is fast at the end of the race, but there's always a piece of his puzzle missing. And today it's the start. If he doesn't get a start, he can't run with those guys.
Number 15, Doug Henry, returning to the crash scene of last year, is ready physically and mentally for this day.
I think I'm ready. I prepared a lot for this race. I knew it, from the beginning of the season. I knew coming back here was going to be tough. John Beasley ran the track backwards, which is definitely helpful for me because I don't have that one jump to see every lap. And the track's really good backwards. I'm really excited about riding out there. It's a fun track, and I think I'm ready. I'm just going to focus on, kind of riding relaxed, and just trying to ride my own race and do my own pace and just try to get back to where I was before.
Art, this is probably the most amazing comeback in the history of the sport. There's other comebacks. I think Hannah, with the leg injury, came back. He never really got to where he was. In Doug's mind, he's not back to where he was either, but it's still just amazing because it was almost life-threatening. He may never walk. I mean, the injury was so severe to his back, and look at him out here. To me, he's going as fast as he did last year.
Have to give his wife Stacy credit as well for the communication the two had and going for a different opinion, and then finding out the innovative surgery, the pioneering move that allowed him the healing process so much quicker.
Yeah, I was involved a little bit in that process of trying to find the best doctor that they could. I talked to the No Fear guys, knowing about car racing and some of the miraculous operations that those guys have undergone to legs and feet, and it looked like they got the job done, and Doug's back out there healthy. And as he pointed out earlier in the show, Stanton's Jeff and Sarah enjoying their new baby daughter, and Doug's wife Stacy's expecting here any time. Didn't quite make it for Papa's Day here today at Budds Creek as Jeremy McGrath leading Emig, but look at Emig. He has not let Jeremy off the hook. He's keeping pace with him. And that's what he's got to do. When Jeremy gets a little bit of a lead, he just settles down and nothing bothers him. He can ride that same pace all day long. He's got the confidence in his training, but right now he's being pushed to the test. If he makes a mistake, he knows Emig's right there, and there you see a lapped rider staying out of the way there, but coming down the wire, there's going to be a lot of lapped riders. That could make the difference too. Jeremy knows all that. As long as Emig stays in his rearview mirror, he'll give him some thought. An observation you made earlier during the 125s was the fact that it was a soft course at the time, but you said, hey, it's going to get hard, and we can see that happening now. Right, it gets hard and slick in some spots. There's a little bit of kind of gravel, rocky stuff that shows up in those hard spots, making it even slicker. So it's important to get out there and try to find a soft berm and then get back up the inside of the corner and try to get a good drive. McGrath, Emig, Albertine, Henry, and LaRocco are top 5. What's on this young man, too, number 15, Doug Henry. While Doug was over at Honda, Jeff spent a little bit of time talking to him. I talked with him as well, and It surprised me a little bit that he came back from his injury and went over to Yamaha, but that's the way things worked out, and I don't think there's any real hard feelings over at Honda. He just did what he had to do, and Yamaha was willing to take a chance on a guy that was pretty beat up.
After winning 2 125 Supercross crowns and a 125 National Outdoor title while on a Honda. Right now, our leader, Jeremy McGrath. Who else? He's just dominated this season, almost as much so as he did the Supercross season.
And despite his success, Emig is pretty close. You know, only 23 points back, and every time Jeremy picks up a win, Emig's right there in second or third. So Jeremy hasn't picked up that big points lead like he had last year.
A concerned Skip Norfolk, the mechanic of Jeremy McGrath. Skip grew up not far from here. In fact, he said he had his share of spills on this track. Of course, he said there's a little bit more talent on the track today than he kind of possessed during his days.
It's a little more. I know Skip's a decent rider, though. He's a great mechanic, and he's just a good person. He understands what it's like to be out there, and he knows the right things to say to Jeremy, and they make a great combination.
David, it sounds a little weird to say Jeremy's looking to rebound here today when he's won 7 of the 8 motos on the season, but his streak of 3 consecutive overalls was snapped at Mount Morris, and he's out there trying to recapture that glory. It's obvious that Emig, though, is not letting him do it the easy way. Emig is applying the pressure all the way here on our first moto at Budds Creek. An appropriate time for our Honda riding tip with who else? Skip Norfolk.
Often at the races, we're asked why we safety wear our grips on. We do it for 2 reasons. One, it's to help the grip stay on the handlebars. You don't want your grips falling off the handlebars. The other is to help the grip not twist when the rider's holding on. We do this by taking the wire, wrapping it around the grip twice, and tying it at the bottom of the grip, away from the palm of your hand, leaving about 3 to 5 millimeters of wire extended, which we push up into the grip so there's no sharp edges. I prefer to do it on the bottom so that if it does for some reason come apart, you're not going to stick a sharp object in the palm of your hand. You're only going to hurt your fingertips. For 1-800-COLLECT-FOX Racing, this is Skip Norfolk.
Rejoining the action of Moto 1, nearing the white flag lap as Jeremy McGrath still holding off Jeff Emig. Now, Emig has kept this distance most of the way.
Well, it's got the pressure on Jeremy, that's for sure. You can see the white flag. The crowd is anticipating something pretty exciting here in the final lap. Emig is close enough. If Jeremy makes any mistake at all, and maybe he could force him into one. Boy, it'd be a bummer for McGrath to lead this thing most of the way and then lose it in the last lap. But Emig's there. He can put the pressure on him, force him into that mistake.
It seems to me, though, David, that Jeff Emig should know that Jeremy McGrath is not the type of rider that would crack, whereas you can pressure other riders. Shouldn't he be more aggressive right now?
Well, yeah, I'm sure he's trying as hard as he can, but you're right. He needs to be closer to Jeremy to force Jeremy into that mistake. With that amount of cushion Jeremy enjoys right now, the crowd it's not bothering him. He knows the crowd wants Emig to get around him and make this a race, but Jeremy's got a cool head. He knows with that much of a lead, all he's got to do is ride his lines, not make a big mistake, and there's no way Jeff's going to pass him.
The multi-champion handles pressure as well as any athlete we've ever covered. Jeremy McGrath, as he heads toward victory here in Moto 1 on the last lap. Great shot as he roosts a lapper.
He just floats around the racetrack. Look at that line right there. He's using up that smooth inside. Then he pops back over to the right so he can get a nice arc into that berm.
Up over the bars, he uses the side of the hill to get away from the bumps.
Great balance through the berms and stuff. Look at how he jumps out of that berm a little early, so he misses those bumps coming over the crest of that hill. It just all his lines come together so well. The other guys hit extra bumps out there on the racetrack that give him problems.
Emig evidently giving it all he's got, but it's just not enough to catch Jeremy McGrath here at Budds Creek.
I think there's a chance, too, that Jeremy has been riding a pace that he felt like he could maintain and not let Emig get in there and really show him a wheel anywhere. Then in the last lap, throw in a little bit extra just to demoralize him, and it seems like he's done that. He's got a little bit more of a lead than he had the lap before.
Jeremy McGrath cutting through the mechanics area. Skip Norfolk still holding his breath a little bit with Emig that close. Jeremy McGrath to the finish line jump.
Wow, throws it sideways. That's a nice You know, when you're Emig and you look at that, the guy goes over the jump, throws it sideways, beat off. You know, he's put together another win. He's 3 more points up on you. It's really frustrating.
Well, it was such a good battle between McGrath and Emig. We had little time to see Albertine take a distant third with his teammate LaRocco, and then Henry a 5th. Marty Reed making his way over to the winners, and we'll get those words after this. Motocross is being brought to you by Split Fire. Enter the performance zone. Split Fire Performance V spark plugs. So Jeremy McGrath has now made it 8 out of 9 moto wins on the young season, with Emig taking another second place. Albertine, though, a very credible third. As we look at the bottom 5 of the top 10, Jimmy Button, a good performance.
I'll tell you what, pretty darn exciting for us. How was it for you guys out there?
Well, it's pretty darn hot out there, you know. A lot of lines out there are really one line, and I don't know what to say. Jeff was on my tail the whole way. I was fighting for it.
What about when you got the lead? Did he make a mistake on you out there that you were able to pick up on?
I was making a few mistakes here and there, and, you know, it's so much easier to ride in second. And I was feeling the heat, that's for sure.
Not only do you have to be in great physical shape, you have to make sure you're hydrated for this kind of activity. A disappointed Emig in second place. Marty?
All right, you had a chance to cool down a little bit. Take us through it. What was it like out there?
It was pretty good. Actually, the track's real good going backwards this way. You know, I got the whole shot, and I felt real good. I just, you know, McGrath was a little more aggressive there when he passed me, and, you know, consequently, that put me behind him the whole moto, and I felt good, you know, just kind of learning his lines because, you know, I'm sure that he was riding different ones in the beginning before he passed me, and I mean, I just tried to stay right in there and got a second.
Greg Albertine, number 16, making the move here on Doug Henry, took a 3rd place. He was 3rd overall here last year with a 4.2. Marty's with him now.
Well, this course, we talked about it right before the start, the fact that this was more the European style of course. What was the problem for you?
Well, I don't know. I just couldn't get into a really good rhythm and battling to breathe a little bit. You know, Doug Henry and I were banging bars a lot in the first few laps, so that wore me out a little bit. And then I just didn't quite get into the rhythm that I was hoping for. But, you know, I just thank the Lord for protecting us all out there. And my RM250 is running great. Just got to try and save a little bit more energy and hopefully go for the win the next moto.
We'll see you then.
Thanks.
I guess the question remains now, can Jeremy McGrath add to his 2nd win streak of this young season? We'll have Moto 2 of the 250s coming up from Budds Creek in a moment.
Working on Ryan Hughes' bike after the first moto, working on the rear suspension, maybe getting him a little more dialed in for the 2nd moto.
Welcome back to a beautiful but hot and humid Budds Creek, Maryland, Moto number 1. What an exciting duel all the way, with Jeremy McGrath starting another streak.
He looked good, and he did everything he had to do to get the job done. He won the moto, but Jeff Emig was right there, forced McGrath to get around him, and then he kept the pressure on all the way to the last lap. And when Jeremy's sitting in that chair between motos, he's going to be wondering what it's going to take to beat him in that 2nd moto. Emig's just as fast.
Many of the fans' hearts pounding a little harder, I think, for number 15, Doug Henry, returning to the scene of the near-tragic crash.
Well, I think the hearts of the spectators are probably pounding a little harder than Doug. He doesn't seem that affected by the crash last year, and the track ran the other way just to make it a little easier on him, and ran 4th for most of the moto, just like the last round at Mount Morris, a couple of 4ths there, and couldn't quite hold off a charge on LaRocco at the end.
Yes, and LaRocco's teammate, Greg Albertine, a consistent 3rd.
He looked good all the way, and a little tip over in the end, but he still was able to hang on to it, and LaRocco just once again took a little too long to get going.
Okay, the riders are at the starting gate. All 40 strong without Damon Bradshaw, who's still out with the injury. They hope he can come back in the next event at Southwick. Now, let's see who gets the whole shot. Will it be Jeremy McGrath or, again, number 2? Oh, my goodness, Emig with another great start, but Jeremy's right there. You see 13 is Phil Lawrence, and a host of other riders going through that first turn.
As Emig came into that right-hander there, just before that bottleneck left-hander, the front end washed out. It looked like he was about to go down, but he's going to need that whole shot. And once again, when he looks in his rearview mirror, he's going to see Jeremy. That's the last thing he wants to see.
Henry, Lawrence, and Swink behind the 2 front runners. And not bad starts for Albertine, Hughes, and LaRocco as well. Number 15, Doug Henry.
Another good start for him. He ran up front in most of the first moto, looking good. Here he's in contact with the leaders. Nobody between them. He'll be able to see everything that they're doing. Look at all the water splashing out of that berm. It's one of the off cambers, and all that water runs down in there.
Something tells me Jeremy's not going to put up with that splashing for too long.
No, and he's close enough to ride right through the part in that water, too. Doesn't even have a chance to settle. He's already by.
Emig, though, putting on the speed.
Emig's got a different color for every moto, it seems like, this year. Changing over to the gray for this moto, hoping maybe that'll bring him a little bit better luck.
Little style change, but a bobble.
That's a tough section right there because early in the day when they go around that corner, they're going a little slower before they get up to speed, and that berm forms right next to the tire.
Looked like he just tried to put on his brakes and make a shoot right out of there.
Yeah, well, it's hard to stay in that berm. He overshot a little bit, but it's the kind of corner where you can pull in the clutch and skid it in there and not lose that much time.
Jeremy in the first moto, passing early on Jeff Emig, who got the whole shot in the lead, just like this second moto. You begin to wonder right about now when and where Jeremy's going to make his move. He went up on the lawn.
Look at that. He's just looking for anywhere to miss those bumps and to stay out of that ruse. There's no ruse from Emig going into that corner, but Jeremy just getting creative. I mean, if Emig hears him way over there, he's going to be wondering what's going on, and he'll think about that the next lap around there.
Good big ruts in the tight turns here in the second moto. Behind Emig and McGrath, Henry, and Brian Swink, one of his finer showings.
A good start is the key, really. Anybody, any of the privateers can get a good start and run up front for a little while, but the key is really having the fitness and the good lines, everything going for you so you can stay there for the whole moto. Right now, it looks like the kind of situation we had at Gainesville, the opener, where Jeremy won the first moto, Emig second, Emig leading the second moto from the start, and really forcing Jeremy to push himself to the max to try to get around for the overall win. Right here, Emig is under control.
While some riders rested during the 2-week break before this race and others worked out every day, Jeremy McGrath kind of split it up the middle. He took some time off at Lake Havasu for some boating and skiing and also did some riding.
Well, he says he needs that. And is Jeremy Albright telling Emig, pull away, come on, focus. But already Jeremy down the inside cuts him right off.
Here comes Emig back again. Can he hold on? Emig on the outside. Jeremy's got the edge. And Jeremy McGrath, once again, early in the race, taking over the lead.
Jeremy, that inside line there, as he came over that double jump, kind of didn't get the height, I don't think, that he wanted. Topped that second jump a little bit. Feet came off the pegs, but he's able to do that kind of stuff and get away with it. Emig, on the other hand, with an outside line, had to choose a rut he didn't really like, got a lot of height, and lost some momentum to Jeremy.
Emig not letting McGrath off the hook like he did in the first moto, but he just never had the great opportunity to make a pass after Jeremy took the lead. It's McGrath, Emig, Henry. Phil Lawrence has moved in front of Brian Swink in the number 4 spot. We'll be back. Gard Eckman, David Bailey, and Marty Reed as we're taking a look at moto number 2 in the 250s after Jeremy McGrath secured first place in the opening moto. He went to the checkers. Emig right behind him. That's the situation now out in front as we take a look back to see Phil Lawrence battle with Mike LaRocco and Ryan Hughes, Brian Swink. Hughes has done a nice job as he guns to get back into the top 5.
He just muscled his way around the outside of Swink, charged down the hill, bottomed out the suspension in that berm. He's given it everything he's got. Not losing much. He sat out a long time. When these guys had that 2-week break, they were going, oh boy, finally a break. He's going, come on, man, let's race. He's been sitting on the couch way too long already. Yeah, this is his first race back from that riveting injury. He was out 3 national events since breaking his jaw at Charlotte Supercross. Actually opened the season on the podium, which was a great start. It looked to me like he was going to be a real threat for this title. His first time on a 250, and he was in the hunt at Gainesville, but he's sat out every race since.
LaRocco moving into 3rd place, getting around Doug Henry. So all of the action is from 3rd back to 6th right now.
Rocco getting a little earlier start this moto than he did the first moto. That's good to see. There's his dad going, come on, get up there. Don't wait till the end like always.
Yeah. Last year, it was his first race back from an injury. And he won the first moto, took a 4th in the second moto for the 2nd overall. Right now, Hughes, he's hounding Henry to try to move up a spot.
After talking with Hughes, the first moto, his arms pumped up a little bit. He hasn't been on the bike in a race situation in quite a while, and it just got to him. He didn't get the start he wanted. He had to work hard, fought the bike a lot, but right now he's looking a lot better.
Henry coming back, of course, feels that he's ready to win a race toward the end of the year, and he feels that the next event, which is coming up at Southwick, from there on, he has a good chance to win a moto. Ryan Hughes coming back is getting stronger every time he gets back on the bike.
Looks like he's going to make that pass stick, too. He's just carving through the field. He's going as fast as the leaders, I think, right now, but he's got a little ways to go to get there.
Ryan Hughes shutting the door on Doug Henry. No contact made. Good clean racing so far this afternoon at Budds Creek. Ryan Hughes in 4th place. That's going to make him feel good.
Henry is riding well. I know you were just talking about it. It would be a perfect place for him to try to get an overall win in front of his hometown crowd in Southwick. Last year, unfortunately, having to miss that round because of his crash here.
Of course, if Stacy and Doug time it right, he could be a father by then.
Well, I think that's not in their control. You just got to wait and see. But I'm sure it's on his mind all the time when he's out riding.
Greg Albertine, a 3rd place here last year, is up in the battle right now, passing Swink. Number 23 is Swink. Looks like he's going backwards.
Yeah, there's that, what I talked about. I mean, just being able to stay up there for a few laps isn't a problem, but then that pace starts to get to you. One mistake, then another one, then you start to fall back a little bit, then your confidence goes, then somebody else starts catching it. It just snowballs, and right now it looks like Swink's getting caught in that trap.
Out in front, it's Jeremy McGrath. Swink really looked like he'd had some promise back in Sacramento to Hangtown when he took a 3rd in the first moto, came back and really lost his energy for a 10th and a 5th overall. But since then, he hasn't reached that peak.
Look at Jeremy just monorailing through those berms. Great balance, staying perfectly in the berm, keeping his foot off the ground, just skimming the top, timing the jumps, just doing everything right. It's no wonder this guy pulls out a big lead every time he gets in a race.
Albertine moving up on Phil Lawrence and then Doug Henry. Henry 15, Lawrence 13. Lawrence with a little bobble on the turn there. That allows Albertine to cinch it up a little bit more, looking for a way to get around Phil Lawrence and then be the next guy to take on Doug Henry. Oh, the inside line. Perfect move for Albertine.
Gets around him clean, no problem, and looked like Lawrence just kind of lost his concentration through there, made a couple of mistakes. And I don't know about you, Art, but doesn't it seem like Henry's always got 2 or 3 guys breathing down his neck?
He's always gotten the good starts and getting out in 2nd and 3rd right in that area, and then has had to hold these guys off.
Albertine looking to the inside, the same place he passed him in the first moto before they came up that hill, but Henry remembered that and protected that line.
Albertine, his first moto win in about 2 years back at Mount Morris, opening up the program with the moto win, then taking a 5th in the 2nd moto. So that was his best overall finish, a 4th place. Whoa, Albertine really getting close to Doug Henry on that turn.
Albertine makes me nervous. You know, he seems like on the edge of disaster so often, but most of the time he escapes it.
Popular place to pass right here, as Jeremy McGrath showed us, and Albertine makes the move, has the edge, roosts Henry. Oh my goodness, Marty Reed.
Moved into 5th, and it looks like he's closing down on Ryan Hughes for 4th.
Yeah, we've got about, I'd say, roughly 5 laps left. So hopefully he'll be able to catch up to Hughes and get into 4th. That'll be good if he can do that.
What do you have the margin down to?
He didn't have such a good start, and then he got caught in the turn there behind someone who fell, and, you know, it's just one of those days. But 4th will be real good if he gets there.
Albertine, Henry, Lawrence, 4th, 5th, and 6th. As they take those tight turns with 2 different lines, Lawrence moving ahead.
Mistake there by Henry allowed Lawrence to make that kind of weird outside line work for him. That's not a popular line, but Lawrence flew through it, and now it looks to me like Henry's a little bit tired.
Lawrence, the top privateer in the 250s last year, getting the $5,000 award. It's McGrath, Emig, LaRocco, Hughes on the top of the ledger. We'll be back in a moment. 250 action, Art Ekman, David Bailey, and Marty Reed. Out in front, Jeremy McGrath, but as we take a look back at the pack, here's the real battle going on in this race. Doug Henry and Larry Ward, number 6.
Henry was in a big pack a little while ago, and one by one they each slipped past him, and now he's getting pressure from Larry Ward, who we didn't see much of in the first moto, in fact any of. Get it together a little bit here, but both these guys are way off the pace right now.
Ward looking to move up in the standings, taking the outside of the track where it's a little smoother, and then rides high up in the berm to slingshot off to make the challenge on Henry.
Oh, we've seen that line work before. Look how far Larry Ward jumps off that jump into the corner. He's got to use the outside line and just gets in front of Henry, forcing Henry to make a little mistake there. And I pointed out already before that Henry looked like he was a little bit tired, and he didn't put up much of a fight for Ward.
Henry getting crossed up, but gosh, when you consider what he's been through, the fans have been absolutely wonderful. On parade laps, they start cheering. He says, I look around to see who they're cheering for, but they've really given him a great feeling. Here's a nice battle going on with Ryan Hughes and Greg Albertine.
Hughes getting a good drive out of that berm. Takes a lot of balance. You see the difference of getting out of there good the way Hughes did. Albertine a little bit off balance, but you can count on that every now and then. You're not going to get through there clean every lap.
A drastic difference between the speeds in practice just 3 days earlier and what Hughes is putting together right now.
Well, it's just a gutsy performance, and the more laps that he's out there, the more comfortable he's going to get. I mean, you've got to remember this guy sat out for quite a while, and the first moto was really just kind of getting his feet wet. Now he's looking pretty good.
Whoa!
He went a little too wide there.
And he comes right back. Well, Hughes is, of course, a rider that just never gives up. But Greg Albertine has taken advantage of him here. But Hughes, of course, just happy to be back on a bike. A flashback now to some of Ryan Hughes' most anxious moments. It was at Charlotte Motor Speedway, a bizarre crash after a checkered flag in the prelims. Ryan Hughes smashes his jaw on the handlebars, costing him second place in the Supercross series, but more importantly requiring a painful rehabilitation. After doctors wired his teeth and placed a plate in the right side of his jaw, Ryan fought with the frustrations of watching from the sidelines, thinking of what might have been.
Wetter shut, it was just kind of a letdown because I was second in points and I had a good chance of winning the outdoor title, and it kind of just all went away. So it took a big hit on me, but after a couple weeks I was back going again. Since I got my jaw wired shut, I didn't want to just sit on the couch and just waste time. I knew when I came back, and if I just sat on the couch, that it'd be harder. It'd take me a lot longer to get back. So I tried to be in the best shape as I could when I came back to riding, so the only thing I had to concentrate on was riding the motorcycle and getting back in tune with that. And I think that helps out. A lot of people might not think about that, but some do.
Michael Jordan, he's not, but one-on-one with close friend Mitchell Bailey helped pass the time. Otherwise spent working his body back into prime condition, the condition needed for the sport of motocross.
Hey, where's my wallet at? This is regular time. People probably start playing or whatever.
All homemade sauce.
Girlfriend Jennifer, electronic games and friends, became a savior before getting the okay to get back on the bike.
Jason Ellis wanted to bet me.
If they'd have known that it was going to be televised the whole game,
oh, yeah. Oh, the whole neighborhood would have been here if they knew it had been on ESPN.
So?
Dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun. Off to go ride. The second time in 6 weeks. So now we just hope there's no cops here today. A couple cops come around every once in a while, but you just got to know how to hide good. You see my secret hiding spot for my keys?
I'd like to win at least a couple outdoor races, get back up there and battle with those guys, and maybe at the end of the series start winning. And I'd like to definitely win the Motocross of Nations. I mean, that's a big goal of mine and probably a big goal of Jeremy's and Steve's, and so I'm going to put 100% into that. You never can be too good at something. Never work hard enough, I don't think. I got the poster in there. There is no finish line, and I think that that really comes down to life,
With every challenge, David Bailey, it seems like Ryan Hughes just reaches further back.
Well, he's getting tired of reaching, I think. He's had plenty of challenges, and I've talked to him a few times during this little break he had last time, and he's just going, man, haven't I had enough? Do I need more? What am I supposed to learn from this? And, I've followed his career enough to know that he's had enough to deal with, and I didn't really have a very good answer for him, but just, stay in there and don't give up. And the guys that give up are the ones that slide back, and the ones that persevere are the ones that are the champion in the end. And, good things are got to be in store for him.
Here's our leader, Jeremy McGrath, as we get to the latter stages of this second moto, and McGrath has just been flawless as he's pulled away now from Jeff Emig.
I think at this point it looks like Emig may have just kind of given up. He knows he doesn't have anything to match Jeremy McGrath's speed.
McGrath, Emig, LaRocco, Albertine, and Hughes will be back in a moment. Motocross is brought to you by the reigning Supercross 125 and 250 outdoor champions, Honda. Come ride with us. Jeremy McGrath as we rejoin the action here in the 250 second moto. After a close finish in front of Emig in moto number 1, it's been all Jeremy here at the tail end as we see the white flag come out for the final lap. Jeremy McGrath's record is incredible here in the motocross and the national scene. David Bailey, give us an idea from a rider's point of view now, the difficulty of a 30-minute moto through the heat of summer plus 2 laps as adverse to a Supercross.
Oh, Supercross is a little bit different. It's at night, first of all. The track is much different. It requires more timing rather than just sheer strength. And every time it gets a rut in it, they get the bulldozers out there and go smooth it out. So here, all day long, the track gets rougher and rougher. You saw between motos, to keep the dust down, they pour water on it rather than working it in. They just let the water sit there. You saw Emig splashing through it on the first lap. So you're dealing with a rougher track, a longer race. You got to do it twice. Not much of a break in between, and it's hot.
More athleticism.
Absolutely. Jeremy is in phenomenal conditioning, and that's why he's winning the way he's winning. He's got the confidence in his training to go out and push as hard as he can and know that he can go just as hard as anybody else for as long as they want. So he'll call their bluff and take him one more step.
Well, it's an interesting comparison as it gets closer to record-breaking proportions for Jeremy McGrath here on the outdoor scene.
Top that jump again. I don't like the way he's doing that. He came up a little short, but you can see he knew that he'd come up a little short. He got his body in the right position, gassed it a little bit off of there, and pulled it off. Already waving to the fans. Incredible showman, and he realizes that these people who come to see his show and they want to see their favorite rider win a good battle. It got a little bit boring here towards the end, and he's letting them know he appreciates their support, not just waiting till the last jump to do it. Give them all something to cheer about all the way around the track.
Not only beating his opponents, but beating the track and the heat and humidity.
And I'll tell you what, at the end of this race, he's really not having to dig very deep. I mean, he's probably, the breeze feels nice as he comes out of some of those shaded areas, and he's not really having to put a lot of effort into this. He's just loving every minute of it and knows that he's put a few more points on his points lead, making that championship for 96 look even more possible.
And a very knowledgeable and generous motocross crowd. Skip Norfolk, you saw him there.
Couldn't read what he had on the board, but why put anything? Basically, just looking at him going by, and a smile says it all.
It looked like a private code as he put up his fist there in the air. The checkers and the knack-knack for Jeremy McGrath and his many friends.
That kind of surprised me. I didn't think that was a very good place for a knack-knack, but he's getting good enough at it. He can do it anywhere.
Especially after we saw in preliminary rounds a couple of riders go down in that area. Here is a good battle still raging. Hughes and Albertine. The final turn on the track. Ryan Hughes gunning for 4th place, takes it away from Greg Albertine.
That was an excellent move. Excellent. He got in there and made that happen. Got on the outside, aggressive, and what a performance by Ryan in the last turn to come through.
Here's our Moto 2 results. McGrath, Emig, LaRocco, Hughes, and Albertine, the top 5. 9 moto wins in 10 total motos this year for McGrath. 5 overall victories out of 6. Marty's with him now.
You said that you wanted to make a statement and rebound with some authority. You certainly did. What an impressive performance here.
Well, it's really hot out here today, and didn't get such a good jump off the gate again. And had to push it with Jeff, and you know, I passed him, and then kind of had some good lines out there, and then just went ahead and kind of wasn't too nervous or anything, and just kind of pulled away.
Was there any problem out there? I mean, it looked like you were on rails again.
Yeah, I felt really good. I didn't make as many mistakes that time as I did in the first moto, and you know, it's just one of those things. It's a hot day, and I think I've been training and been ready for this, and you know, it showed.
Oh, go cool off. You've earned it.
Well, I'd like to thank Team Honda. You know, they're with me every week, and they give me the best bike on the track, and
I couldn't do without them.
Jeremy McGrath, the sweep once again, as Jeff Emig now takes his 4th, second overall, with 1 win on the season.
Well, take us through what happened out there. It looked like once he got around you, he pulled away, and you just weren't able to find anything to catch him.
Well, he had some good lines again, and I, I just tried staying with him there and watching his lines, and he was just charging real hard, and I was maybe just a little down on energy, and I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of excuses, that I could make, but Jeremy rode a great race today, and I finished second. That's just the way it is.
So after 5 rounds of AMA Motocross, it's Jeremy McGrath out in front by 29 points. The real battle for third with Mike LaRocco and Albertine. Jeremy McGrath, the replay of a victory lap to thank his fans. Your impressions, David?
Doesn't matter what kind of racetrack or what kind of weather conditions you throw it Jeremy's way, he still conquers them, and he's the man to beat, padding his points lead even more. Our hats off to Doug Henry. 1 year ago today, crashed and broke his back here, dealt with that, had a good performance, and also the return of Ryan Hughes, that strong last lap charge. And Emig, no worse than a second overall so far this season, trying everything he can to take away that #1 plate from Jeremy.
The next round, Sandy, Southwick, Massachusetts. Art Ekman, David Bailey, and Marty Reed. Thanks for being with us.